The version 4.7 first half banners have been revealed, and despite Clorand being my most anticipated character of the patch, I gotta say that these banners do not look great and are very disappointing compared to what they could have been. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Make sure to subscribe to see my day one guide, and when the patch drops, we're going to be doing viewer summons as well as a Clorand giveaway. So make sure to turn on notifications, be ready for that live stream. It's going to be first come, first serve with a fun little game for the giveaway. Going to be awesome. On to the banners. So we'll talk, as usual, we'll talk about the 4 stars individually, the 5 stars, the weapon banner, and the value of the banners overall. So 4 stars, obviously Bennett, one of the best characters in the game. Very good constellations all the way up until C6 these days, especially since there's so many good pyro DPSs that you're going to be using Bennett with. So even that C6 that a lot of people don't like to activate is very useful. His C1 is the only constellation you actually need. So even if you get unlucky and you get Bennetted and don't get a lot of Bennetts, you're still going to have a great character. Now, a lot of you might have bought him from the shop just now. I think he's in the shop. I think he just left the shop. So, you know, hopefully you got him if you wanted him, or you're going to be wishing on this banner. But obviously great character. I know a lot of people are talking about how Bennett's sort of falling off, and I just disagree. I think he, if anything, throughout Fontaine, he's gotten better. He works with so many characters in Fontaine. He's just the best in slot for so many characters. And I know, you know, circle impact, applies power to yourself, blah, blah, blah. He's definitely got some downsides for sure. And he's not as good as he was pre-Dendro, but the amount of new teams he has is insane. And I think until the Pyro Archon comes out, I think he'll remain a staple. So yeah, Bennett, very good. Thoma, a lot better than he used to be. Thoma was seen as a bad character to have on a banner before. He would bring a banner down. Nowadays, not so much. There's also some pretty interesting Chevreuse stuff that you can look at with Thoma and with Clorand. The problem is, as you can obviously tell, Chevreuse isn't on this banner, and that is the biggest problem with these banners. Is there's no Chevreuse, there's no Kuki. You'd really want to see Chevreuse with Clorand, and you'd really want to see Kuki with Alhaitham. To see neither is absolutely criminal, very disappointing, especially since there was no Chevreuse on the Arlecchino banner, and that it seems like Chevreuse is some sort of exclusive to Raiden, which is crazy. Like, Chevreuse's best team is probably with Arlecchino, second is probably with Raiden. She's very good with Raiden. C6 Chevreuse with Raiden is insanely good, but okay, it's not insanely good, but it's very, very good. But to not have Chevreuse with Clorand is it's so sad, especially since the only way you actually use Thoma with Clorand is with Chevreuse. Like, and basically Bennett too. Like, there's not, I can't think of any Bennett teams that you'd want to use with Clorand that aren't Chevreuse teams. So it's like, it's very, very especially the way that the banners are structured. It's very, very disappointing to see how this is. And when you look at Sethos, he's an on-field DPS, so he doesn't have synergy with either of these on-field DPS characters. So on the whole, each of these characters, while Bennett and Thoma are good characters to have, they don't have any synergy with Clorand. They don't have any synergy with Alhaitham. And like, this is a horrible Alhaitham banner. Like, there are no characters on here that work with Alhaitham. So for new players, I would kind of recommend skipping both of these banners, to be honest, especially with Farina coming next patch. It really seems like Hoyo's saving all the good characters for the Farina banner. That's what it seems like to me. This feels like yes, Bennett's great. So obviously you're not losing. If you don't have Bennett, right, you're still winning because you still want Bennett. Like, obviously he's super, super good. It's just so sad compared to what it could have been to have Chevreuse instead of Thoma, or Chevreuse instead of Sethos, and have Sethos in the second half or something like that would have been so good. Obviously, if you like these characters, you know, if you like Thoma isn't only good on Chevreuse teams, of course. He's great in Wanderer these days. There's still some VV Vape stuff that he works on. He's obviously great in Burgeon, just as a general character. He's very good for Burgeon. So this is definitely not, you know, they're not awful banners. Like, you're still getting good characters, but they just don't have the synergy, and they don't have, like, I really would have liked to see maybe Chevreuse instead of Bennett, or Chevreuse instead of Thoma, or Kuki instead of Sethos. It's very disappointing. For me personally, as just my own wishes, this is fine for me because I'm pretty much at pity. I just need one copy of Clorand. Ideally, I grab a copy of Sethos. I'm going to be testing him from C0 to C6 on the media server, so I'll already be able to test him. I don't need to wish for a bunch of copies of him, so I don't need a bunch. I'm going to get one just to make sure I have him and I can build him up. but I don't need a bunch of constellations. So these are perfectly fine banners for me. But I'm sad for Clorand wanters that don't have the pieces already. Like, to not have Fischl, like almost all of Clorand's best teams use Fischl as well. So I would have loved to see Fischl on the banner. I would love to see Fischl on the Alhaitham banner. I'd love to see Xingqiu on the Alhaitham banner. There's just so many better characters. Now, obviously, if you love Clorand or if you love Alhaitham and you've been waiting for them, you want to get them, hey, you got to get them, right? And at least you'll get some decent characters on the banner. These aren't the worst banners of all time. They're just very disappointing the way that the banners have been constructed. Alhaitham is a great pull. He's definitely he's not definitely the stronger. On paper, he's likely the stronger character compared to Clorand. Clorand seems like she might be really good. It's kind of is she going to be like pretty good, which people would call mid, to very good. That's like, she's not going to be insane or amazing. She's going to be somewhere in this range, depending. And I'll let you know for her release exactly where she lands. I'll be testing her in like 20 minutes. I'll start testing her. So she's going to be good. Will she be up to Alhaitham? Probably not, but she might be like pretty much close enough that it's a wash as to who you want to get, right? I very much could see her being close to Alhaitham level. She does scale better, it seems, with her 5-star weapon. So especially if you're going fully free to play, Alhaitham is going to be probably better. But Clorand sort of gets more from her weapon or from her C1. So if you're investing in her weapon in C1, probably Clorand becomes better. Well, again, we'll have to wait and see. But that's sort of how it's looking right now. Clorand does have more synergy with it. Like, Alhaitham can use Bennett, but he's not traditionally used with Bennett. You can use Burgeon Alhaitham, but this is generally a bit better for. But there's still there's no Fischl, there's no Sucrose, there's no Xingqiu, there's no Xingqiu would be for Alhaitham, but you want Xingqiu and Kuki for Alhaitham, and you want Fischl and Sucrose and Chevruz for Clorand. So this is just, I really can't talk enough about these characters. If you want about the banners and how poorly constructed they are compared to what I wish that they would have been. But again, if you've been waiting for Clorand, you got to get her. If you've been waiting for Alhaitham, you got to get them. They're going to be strong enough. So if you want them, you got to get them. I'm so excited for Clorand, and I don't even care. I'm just disappointed for all the people who wanted those different characters and who still need a Kuki. Kuki's been on very, very few banners. This is the 4-star problem in a nutshell, right? That we have no pity for 4 stars. We have no choice as to when 4 stars show up. You can go watch my 4-star problem is still getting worse. I'll link that one at the end. I've made a pre-release on Clorand. I made a pre-release on Sethos, and I made an updated Alhaitham guide along with commentary on the Dendro problem these days. So you can go check all of those out. They're very recent, but I'll link the 4-star problem video at the end because this is a perfect example of the continuation of the 4-star problem, how hard it is to get copies of these characters that they don't show up on banners they feel like they should be showing up on. So weapon banner, Clorand's weapon is really, really, really broken on her specifically. We saw they broke down her weapon the other day. I'm not going to pull it up because I don't have time right now, but it's basically better Missplitter. It has a high base attack, has a crit damage substat, and then gives you more crit damage in the substat and to everyone as a universal plus 20 crit damage. So it's going to be a good stat stick for characters that want a high base attack and want crit damage. Not so much Alhaitham because it's the high base stat, but it still is solid as a stat stick. And then if your character uses Bond of Life, essentially, it gives more elemental damage bonus. So really, really broken for Clorand. It's like Missplitter, but with more crit damage and more damage bonus. It's nuts. And then Foliar Incision, a solid stat stick. Very obviously, it's Alhaitham's best in slot, and then it's really good for EM scaling. So if you're using Quick Bloom, especially Quick Bloom Clorand, that's going to be good. Aggravate Clorand, it's going to be good. Chevrous Clorand, it's going to be pretty bad. But in general, it's a pretty decent stat stick. It's not that great for characters like Ayaka. It's really good for characters who want to do EM. So Keqing, Alhaitham Clorand with certain teams, it's pretty darn good. This is a decent banner, especially if you're going to main Clorand. This is not a bad weapon to lose to. But of course, if you want a weapon specifically, make sure you have those 210 pulls. The weapon banner, is really not advised for newer accounts in any way, shape, or form. It's when you're done all your characters and you want to take your favorites to the next level, you consider the weapon banner. This is not a bad weapon banner. This is a pretty decent one. Not a great one though. Like, it's not like, you do have stringless for Fischl, which is good. You do have sacrificial sword for Sing Cho and for Dendro Traveler. Sometimes you've got Widsith, really, really good. Lithic Spear, usually not good, and Sacrificial Claymore, usually not good, but it's maybe has some future potential, maybe as like a supportive weapon. So all in all, you know, you'd like to see Favonius. Like, Favonius Lance makes this weapon banner pretty good. Favonius Sword makes this weapon banner better. But, you know, you take this, it's better, probably better for Clorand Wanters than Alhaitham Wanters. But this is not like a great weapon banner. Like, this is not like Homa Mist Splitter or, you know, Homa plus Aqua. This is a pretty, two reasonably niche weapons that are still pretty good stat sticks even so. So overall, it definitely feels like they're not trying to really tempt you on these banners. They're trying to say, hey, if you want these characters, go for it, but otherwise come wait for Farina. We want Farina. They're really going to load everything on Farina's banner. I've noticed a trend of the first Archon banner is not crazy, but the second Archon banner is crazy. So I'm not expecting Chevreuse, but I am expecting Kuki on the Farina banner. So that might be the one that you want to look out for. That seems to be their trend. But check out my 4-star video right there. Make sure you're subscribed for Clorand Day 1 guide. Take care. Bye for now.